You probably want your seams to start by looking like this. And instead, you're getting some big mess that looks like this, right? And where is all of that thread even coming from? Well, let's look and see. And once you see where it's coming from, you'll be able to stop this from happening. There are two threads on a sewing machine, the top needle thread and the bottom bobbin thread. You can see in this model here that the top needle thread and the bottom bobbin thread interlock between the two layers of the fabric to make a seam. Here they look at the top and the bottom, and in between they interlock. To do this, the needle goes down between the two layers of fabric, and then the needle thread wraps around the bobbin, goes back up in through both layers of the fabric, and then pulls that bobbin thread up in between the two layers. That's how the machine makes a stitch. You can see this happen with this top loading bobbin machine. The needle goes down with the thread and it wraps that needle thread around the bobbin. It needs a whole lot of extra thread in order to wrap around the bobbin. It's a lot of extra distance it has to go from the needle. When it's done wrapping, it needs to get rid of all that extra thread in order to interlock with the bobbin thread and make a nice neat stitch without all that extra thread in the way. The machine uses the take-up lever. That's this thing that goes up and down here. It goes up, it's up, and it goes way, way down and then back up again. And I'm going to show you this on a different machine. On this older machine, the take-up lever is really visible. It's hidden now so you don't whack your head on it all the time when it's going up and down. I know this from experience. This is the machine that I learned to sew on as a kid. So when this take-up lever goes up and down with the needle, when it goes down like this, here's all the extra thread. The needle is down, the take-up lever is down, and there's lots of extra thread that would then go around the bobbin. When it's done going around the bobbin and we don't need all that extra thread, the take-up lever comes up and the needle is up at the same time. It eliminates all that extra. Again, the take-up lever goes down, there's all this extra thread, and then the take-up lever goes back up again. So this take-up lever going down with the needle, and there's lots of extra thread now because of that, and then coming back up again to the top is how the machine makes extra thread and then takes it away. Okay, but what does that have to do with this mess at the beginning of your seam? Let's look at what's happening at the beginning of your seam. The needle comes down and the machine needs all that extra thread in order to go around the bobbin case. And what thread does it use? It uses the thread from the tails. And it may even do what this is doing, which is pull in that extra bobbin thread too. It uses that extra thread, and then when it comes up and the take-up lever wants to take up the extra thread, it can't take up all the thread because it created extra right here with the tail. This only happens with the first few stitches because once there's stitches in there holding the threads, then the machine can only use that extra thread that comes from the take-up lever. To mimic what's happening in the middle of a seam, if you just hold your threads so the machine can only use what's coming from the take-up lever, as the needle comes down, you're keeping it from using that extra thread in the tails. And then the take-up lever can take up all the extra because that's all the extra it had. You held it so the machine couldn't suck that in and use that and create extra. So if you want nice neat starts, all you have to do is hold those threads for the first few stitches and you'll have a nice neat start. If how I explain how your sewing machine works is helpful for you in solving your sewing machine problems, you might want to check out my course that's linked below, Master Your Machine. I created it just because I don't want you to be confused and frustrated when creating with your sewing machine. Happy sewing!